Functions and function notation may or may not need to have its own video. It's going to be quick, but I want it to have a place of prominence because it's come to my attention that we still aren't quite sure what functions are, and we want to make sure we know what a function is and how function notation works. So we've talked about functions as far as what they are. We talked about the vertical line test. And that's really just to test if something is a function, right? So we said if I have a point here and a point here and a point here, it's not a function because I can draw a vertical line through those 2 points. So if I put an x value in, I'm not going to get a unique y value out. Looks like, let's just call that -4. If I put an x as -4, you know, I get out 2 and I get out -2. That means it's not a function. And we've talked about it as far as graphs of shapes. We said a parabola that opens up is a function because it gets wider and wider. That's why I don't like you drawing it like this, because if it was like this, then it would not be a function because it goes straight up and down. And when we get to graphing these kind next year, or next semester, it's not a function because there's 2 vertical points here, 1 x value, 2 y values. But that's all review. I really want you to think about a function first and foremost as a machine. I don't know if I've talked about it like that before. I know that when we talked about domain, we've talked about that as the x value. I think I probably said think about it as an input and range as an output. But I want you to think about a function as a box, as a machine, as an oven, as a computer, as a whatever kind of machine that you want to think of, that you put stuff into. It does stuff and something comes out. If my function is, let's just take a linear function, so I don't have to think too much about the math. There's a linear function. That function is a machine. I can stick input into it all day long and it'll give me specific output. When I put an f of -2 into it, I get -5 out of it. When I put f of 0 into it, when I put 0 in place of the x, I get 1. When I put a 2 into it, I get 7. So we look at it often as a table, you know, with x's and y's. We'll start to see x's and f of x's. And we could have graphed this one from slope-intercept form. We know a lot about this function. But if we know it's a function, we can always just stick x values in and get the machine to do its thing, get the oven to bake the cake, get the computer to run the program, whatever you want to think of, and come out with a value for that function. When x equals -2, the value of that function is -5. When x equals 0, the value of that function is 1. When f equals 2, the value of that function is 7. So f of x just means, hey, I'm a function. And we're going to see g of x and h of x. If it just has that notation, it means I'm a function. When we put a number in there, it means evaluate the function for that value. It's just the input. It's what you're going to put in the x. I'm going to say it one more time. Think of a function like a machine. You stick stuff in, magic happens, except you're probably going to have to do the work, and then you get stuff out.